We'll have details. Our series on fitness over 40 shifts to men who may be surprised to learn that physically it doesn't have to be all downhill after reaching the 4-0 milestone. And Robert Plant is still going strong, the former lead singer. It's a Tuesday morning. It's the 10th morning of July of '90, and straight ahead in this hour, take a look at charges that women are America's second-class citizens when it comes to health care. We'll find out why most medical research and attention seems to be directed at men and what needs to be done about it.
Yes, I lost my little darling.
40 years ago, Patti Page released a song called Tennessee Waltz. She didn't know it then, but it was to become her biggest hit. As we'll see this morning, she's still singing.
Beautiful Tennessee Waltz.
Nice.
From Led Zeppelin to Patti Page.
Which do you prefer? I shouldn't do that.
I
Never
prefer
mind.
Patti Page, actually.
Katie Couric is joining us while Deborah Norville's enjoying a week's vacation. That was a dirty question. I'm Brian Gumble.
That's okay.
Here with Joe Garagiola, who's used to these dirty questions.
Why do you say that?
We're going to move ahead to the news desk in just a little bit. Get me out of this, Kate.
Okay. Brian, we'll also be looking at those customer surveys that automakers use in their advertising. They're often very confusing to car buyers because it seems that every car made can prove it's the best. Joe?
Okay, Katie, we got Mike Leonard, and he's going to profile a man with a talent no longer in demand, a trick shot artist. And then Teddy Kollek, the mayor of Jerusalem, he'll show us around his city. He says it's really very different than the evening news would like to have you believe.
8:01. Let us move to the news. As promised, Faith Daniels.
Thanks, Bryant. Government troops are patrolling the streets of Managua this morning as violence surrounding an illegal strike continues to mount. President Chamorro called the army out last night as thousands of pro-Sandinista workers defied government orders to call off their strike. Bloody fights broke out between strikers and Chamorro's supporters. At least 3 people have been killed. The Sandinista strikers are demanding higher wages and more job security. Mobil Oil says it will clean up one of the worst cases of oil pollution in the nation's history. Oil, gasoline, and naphtha, 14.5 million gallons of it, have been leaking into an underground pool beneath Mobil's Brooklyn terminals for 40 years. New York State threatened to sue Mobil if it didn't agree to clean it all up. Mobil says it will cost millions and take years to remove the pollutants. The economic summit continues in Houston today, and if Monday's session is any indication, President Bush has his work cut out for him. The president stood in the minority on several key issues Monday, and he appears to be in the minority again today on an issue he considers the single most important item still unresolved, farm subsidies. Chief Economics Correspondent Irving R. Levine is in Houston this morning. Good morning, Irving.
Good morning, Faith. President Bush does indeed regard an agreement on the elimination of farm subsidies to be the make-or-break issue of this Houston summit. But so far, the president has not achieved that agreement from the other leaders.
The motorcades, the police protection, the summit facilities all cost money. A $15 million investment that Houston hopes will be rewarded. Houston businesses chipped in 1/3 of the cost.
The companies in Houston responded enormously well. We have $250,000 contributions from a number of large corporations.
But not everyone shares the enthusiasm.
For those of us that live here and try and do business, I think we need to leave town, take vacation while we're meeting.
Houston is climbing out of the oil bust that devastated its economy, but 25% of office space still is vacant. Some of the attention that the summit has drawn to Houston is not at all what the city boosters had in mind.
Houston hopes that publicity generated by the summit will attract investment to help the city economically. But other summit cities have found that the payoff is as brief as the public memory of what the leaders talked about. Irving R. Levine, NBC News, Houston.
The Red Cross is coming under fire this morning for reportedly not notifying federal authorities about 230 cases in which patients may have contracted AIDS through contaminated blood. The Philadelphia Inquirer says at least 4 people have died. The FDA could revoke the license the Red Cross has to collect and distribute blood. After an almost daily barrage of criticism, Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev came out swinging at today's session of the Communist Party Congress. Bob Abernathy reports from Moscow.
Defiantly, sometimes angrily, Gorbachev told conservatives at the party Congress there's no way they can reverse his political and economic reforms.
The time of dictatorship has gone. If anyone has come here hoping for a return to the past, they will not succeed.
Many delegates do want more order and slower reforms. They began to mutter, but Gorbachev pressed on.
The end of the Communist Party's monopoly on power has come.
Liberal communists want faster reforms, and many of them have threatened to quit the party if it doesn't change. Boris Yeltsin, the president of the Russian Federation, said he's on the verge of his decision.
Today or tomorrow.
Gorbachev said he completely dismissed critics of his foreign policy, especially those who say Moscow should not have let Eastern Europe go its way.
Well, should we have sent in the tanks again?
Gorbachev's message to the party Congress was as clear as it was for many delegates unwelcome. The party must become democratic, according to Gorbachev, or it will not survive. Bob Abernethy, NBC News, Moscow.
51 Albanians are in Prague, Czechoslovakia this morning, ending a week-long impasse in the Czechoslovakian embassy in the Albanian capital of Tirana. The group is the first permitted to leave Albania since government troops there crushed pro-democracy demonstrations last month. The refugees, most of them in their 20s and 30s, thanked Czech President Václav Havel for their freedom. At least 5,000 Albanians are still holed up in a dozen foreign embassies in Tirana. The Senate today begins discussion on the 1990 Civil Rights Act. If approved, the bill would reverse six recent Supreme Court decisions that supporters say undermine safeguards against on-the-job discrimination. Finally, Forbes magazine has published its annual list of the richest people in the world, and it's topped by a Japanese railway and real estate developer. Yoshiaki Tsutsumi's net worth is estimated at $16 billion. The second wealthiest individual on the Forbes list is also Japanese American merchant Sam Walton, and his family ranked third with a fortune of $13 billion. Donald Trump failed to make this year's list. His worth dropped from $1.7 billion last year to a mere $500 million this year. Times they are tough.
Joe had it right. Jose Canseco's going to pass him pretty soon.
Canseco and Strawberry will get him. Oh, yeah.
We just got word that the Japanese bought that electric car. They saw it, they said, we like that.
Take it, you have one in about 10 years.
That's right. Heck of an extension cord. Goes all the way to L.A. But listen, I was just thinking, the last time I was in St. Louis, because you're a legend in that town, and I went by Anthony's and had dinner, that lovely, lovely restaurant. One of the nicest. You never do that. You get caught in an airport sometime. And we had a 4-hour layover to go to Omaha. And I went to town in a cab. And I said, just take me to a nice restaurant. I've only got 4 hours. They were so nice to me. They took good care of me and everything else.
Drop my name?
The check. I signed it. I said, Mr. Garagiola sent me.
All right. All right.
Hey, listen, this is nice. This is cute. I think you'll like this. This is Minneapolis, and it's this weekend. They're having a cat show. And their slogan at the cat show is, no dogs allowed. Isn't that cute?
Yeah,
you wonder what that was for? And they're going to be raising money. More strange diseases have come as diseases, plural there, for cats lately. And it's really sad because they've wiped out an awful lot of them, and they're trying to find out and do research, so that all the money will go to that. Take a look at this fella. I want you to see. I think this is the right one that's going to come up here. Vladimir Volkov, New York, New York, 100 years old today. A Russian cavalry officer with the Tsar. He came to this country in 1917, thinking it prudent that he get away from what was happening over there at that time. He started to work in an office, and he was doing all sorts of, the doctor says, you need to get out and get some exercise. He is a messenger or delivery boy and still works to this day, delivers Amtrak tickets, airplane tickets here in the city of New York. Eva Buemiller of Phillipsburg, New Jersey. They make the famous screwdriver up there. You know, the Phillips screwdriver.
Never knew that.
I knew you didn't. 107 years old, pretty lady. If you are flying Indianapolis to Kansas City, flood watches are in effect today, 2 to 3 inches of rain. Be on the lookout for that. Also, some possible severe thunderstorms. The truth is there's an area from the northern and central Rockies, including Denver, going across the nation's midsection, the middle Mississippi Valley, right down through Anthony's Restaurant and the Bar and Grill, and then right across through into the mid-Atlantic states and the lower Ohio Valley. And we have some severe weather possible in that part. Which camera? I can't tell without the lights on. There you go. Anyway, watch out for that. And, here's what's happening in your world even as we speak.
Good morning. This is Greg Schaub from the Weather Center. Afternoon thunder shower activity likely and a high of 80 degrees. Partly cloudy and mild tonight with a low of 58.
You're back on the network now.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
All right.
Did I blow the cue?
No, you were terrific. That's good. We got so confused. And we just lost 7 affiliates. So what's new?
Let us...
You don't look at your hands. You've got your glasses in your hands. You can't see.
After a moment. This is Today, still.
Oh, okay.
On NBC.
I'm with him.
Hello, I'm Rich Vaughn, owner of the area's fastest-growing pet food and garden supply center, Vaughn's Home and Garden. When seeding and overseeding in the spring through summer, it is critical to follow through with up to 1 inch of water per day. Always use a starter fertilizer high in phosphorus to build up the root base. After your third mowing of a newly seeded lawn, it is critical to top dress your lawn with a high nitrogen fertilizer. Stop in and see us at Vaughn's Home and Garden, just 1/2 mile west of Old Fort Myers, next to Schaefer Implement.
Dummy, you're pathetic. You little brat.
Child abuse is also known by some other words.
Jerk! You moron! You're so clumsy.
Words like these can hit as hard as a fist.
You were never born. I hate you.
What you say to your children can determine how they feel about themselves.
You slob. You're wussy.
And how they feel about you. Get the picture. Stop using words that hurt. Start using words that help. For helpful information, contact us.
If this is the only wildlife your kids have seen lately, maybe it's time for a trip to the zoo.
The Minuteman Cafe was robbed last week.
Comedy that zags and zigs.
Because they come in things like figs.
On Newhart, where truth never gets in the way.
A man just held up my cafe.
Get your laugh diploma.
According to this, he's in a coma.
It's another fine mess.
Yes.
It's one funny show.
No.
America's favorite. Come on, admit it.
Arrest, conviction, and execution of the person who did it.
Newhart.
Afternoons at 3:30 on Channel 33.
On After 8 this morning, auto information. In addition to the usual assortment of sales pitches, today a seemingly endless amount of new car surveys are sending mixed signals to the consumer about which car is best. The result, it would seem, is confusion. After buying a home, the second most expensive purchase that most Americans make is a new car. But where car ads once stressed good looks, performance, or status, more and more the manufacturers are basing their sales pitch on quality and durability. They're able to claim their car is best because of surveys like Powers Report, which asked 26,000 new car buyers how many things went wrong with their new car in the first 90 days of ownership. The winner, not surprisingly, was a Japanese-made car, the Lexus, followed by a German Mercedes-Benz, and then another Japanese, the Toyota. The lone American entry in this year's top 10 wasn't Ford, which claims quality is job one, but Buick, a fact trumpeted in their sales pitch.
J.D. Power and Associates ranks only one American among the 10 most trouble-free. Buick. Before you put a new car in your garage, make sure it has one of these on the hood.
Still, Ford sent its dealers a tape to help them explain to confused consumers why Ford, not Buick, is the top-rated American car, despite what Powers Report said. At our affiliate WDIV-TV in Detroit this morning is the man behind the Powers Report, James David Powers. Mr. Powers, good morning.
Good morning, Brian.
What do you think? Does your survey muddy the waters?
No, I think we are trying to clear up the muddy waters. We're an independently funded survey company. We don't do, the study is not commissioned by any particular manufacturer. So we treat each of the makes and models surveyed on the same basis.
Do you accept any money at all from any of the manufacturers?
Yes, the funding primarily comes from the manufacturers because the survey is designed to provide the manufacturers information to improve their product and the services to the customers.
It allows them each, does it not, to find some grain of truth they can cling to sell?
Well, certainly there's some grain of truth. All the cars are improving over the last 3 years, as a matter of fact, in terms of the number of problems, the average number of problems recorded 3 years ago we now have 23 out of the 29 makes or brands above the average of 3 years ago. So each manufacturer is improving, and the models are improving. So there's winners of all sorts, depending on which way you look at it.
But the problem may be the survey allows everybody to win. With me here in New York is William James, who's editor of Car and Driver. Do these surveys serve the consumer, or do they serve the manufacturer?
Well, if you can cut through what Dave has done with his surveys, they can serve the consumer, because I think they provide a valuable yardstick. The surveys are valid, but you have to understand the difference between corporate excellence, corporate quality, and individual excellence. It's possible to have a car in both the top 10 and the bottom 10, for instance, in the Consumer Satisfaction Index.
But as it concerns the consumer, I mean, that's a little more sophistication than most consumers are going to entertain, isn't it?
I'm not sure I'd agree with that, because the consumer today is a lot smarter than he or she has ever been before. They're bright. They work hard. They seek information from every source they can get it. It's not easy. If you just take something on face value and say, here's Buick in the top 10, and you don't look at the whole story, you don't look at, let's say, Ford, which is the domestic manufacturer with the best corporate quality, but Ford doesn't have a car individually. So you have to search through there and get to your individual car that you're interested in.
But is the consumer well served when Lee Iacocca can step forward and tell the truth, but maybe not the whole truth?
If someone tells the truth and not the whole truth, the public's never served properly.
Is the consumer better off across the board as a result of these things, Mr. Powers? I mean, will your survey ever step forward and trash a car?
Well, we won't step forward and trash a car, but we try to emphasize those that are in the top half scoring better than others. I think that just about every car built today being offered to the American public is a much better car than it was 3 or 4 years ago. And some are increasing at an even phenomenal rate as we see some of the new Lexus and Infiniti models coming in. So the industry is working hard to keep improving the products. And the domestic car companies have been decreasing the gap. And I see that the consumer is well served, and as a result, the manufacturers become well served too.
Do you think your surveys have ever been misused for commercial purposes?
Certainly they have been, and we try to police it as best as we can. There are just about every automobile has some features that would be attractive and could claim a first-place category, depending on the type of survey that's done.
Do you see a lot of misrepresentation out there?
I'm not so sure I'd go so far as to call it misrepresentation, because you can't really do that from a legal standpoint, but it's very often I see things I'm not at all comfortable with. Now, we do it a little differently at Car and Driver, in that we put the emotion first before we look at the numbers, other than performance numbers.
But if I'm a consumer and I look out there, let's say I watch, television go by and watch the commercials, and a Ford steps forward and says, well, they're #1 according to this survey, and then Chrysler comes forward and says they beat out all the other American cars, and then Chevrolet steps forward and says ranked #1 by Car and Driver, Road and Track. Why am I necessarily well served by all of that?
It gives you a yardstick, because if the car was bad, it wouldn't do well on any of those surveys or ratings.
But hasn't it go ahead, Mr. Powers.
I think that one of the big advantages of these surveys is that when the manufacturers make these claims in their advertising, they're putting everyone in their factories and in their dealerships on notice that they're trying to be #1, and we see a tremendous increase in the performance of the manufacturers and the dealers.
I guess what I'm asking is, if I'm a manufacturer, can't I find some survey or even commission one that I can be #1 in?
Yes, this is true.
I mean, so what's it worth?
Well, I'd have to say that our survey, J.D. Power and Associates surveys, are independently funded, and we treat each manufacturer the same. We set the ground rules before we do the survey, and we live by the ground rules.
I could add one thing to that, and that is that we do some independent research of our own at Car and Driver, and it tends to buttress what Dave does on a much larger scale. But if you always have to consider the source. If a car company comes out and says, we did this, we commissioned this survey, and we won, I have to admit I'm skeptical. I think the public is probably skeptical.
Well, let's see if we can find a bottom line here, and cars are your business, gentlemen. Would you recommend to anybody that they choose a car on the basis of what they see in a commercial? Mr. Powers?
Definitely, I'd recommend what they see in commercials, but they also have to, when they're shopping for the cars, they have to look out for what they're particularly interested in. And some customers love the styling of a particular vehicle, and that's what they buy on. And they're happy with it. That's free enterprise.
If you like cars, and if you don't sort of fall in love with the car, you're not going to be happy with it no matter where it finished on a survey.
That's true.
Just curious, what do you drive?
I have, the last car I bought was a Mercedes 300E, four-door.
What do you drive, Mr. Parks?
An Oldsmobile Touring Sedan, an 87 model.
821. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. This is Today on NBC.
Enjoy a one-day holiday at the Sauter Farm and Craft Village in Archbold, Ohio. Allow 3 to 4 hours to step back 150 years into a world of simple pleasures, a time when life moved at a slower pace and when wares were handcrafted with pride. Come to relax, come to learn, come to laugh. It's a day of happy memories for all ages at the Sauter Farm and Craft Village on State Route 2, just outside Archbold.
A Three Rivers Festival favorite is Kids Day at the YWCA, Wednesday, July 11th from 5 till 8 p.m. TV 33 is providing free shuttle service from Georgetown Square and Southgate Plaza. Hostesses from Loritz Modeling Agency will welcome you aboard the 33 Express, direct to the YWCA Villa. Shuttle hours are Wednesday, July 11th from 5 till 8 p.m. Come on out and enjoy 33 magic activities. Sponsored by TV 33, Magic 95.1, and the YWCA.
It takes less than a half an hour to donate blood, and I just try and schedule it every 8 weeks, and it's not very time-consuming at all.
I got started being a blood donor about 5 years ago, and the credit goes to my husband, who really encouraged me to give blood and told me how easy it was, and he was right.
Call the American Red Cross today.
How you celebrated Jeopardy says a lot about you. There's the smasher.
What is a straight flush? Yes!
The high five with belly bump.
Who was Pavlova?
The spiker.
Who was Beethoven?
The Twickenham School of polite hand clapping. And of course, the revelry reflex. Jeopardy, the most fun you can have with your brain.
Evenings at 5 on Channel 33.
How do you guys buy a car?
I read Consumer Reports. I haven't bought a car in about 6 years, but I think I'd read Consumer Reports, talk to some people, talk to former...
When you see the ads, are you inclined to believe them?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Are you inclined to think they're wrong?
No, I don't think that. I do car commercials. I did car commercials, and I've driven them.
That's right, Toyota.
Yeah, but I mean, I own one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think they lie to you, but embellish, yes.
And some of those car commercials now are so bizarre, like that Infiniti ad that you never see the car.
But I prefer that one to the dumb ones that we get that show cars going 90 miles an hour. I mean, you know...
That I could never understand.
So what?
It goes from 0 to 90 miles an hour in 30 seconds. Who's going to do that?
I mean, if anything, they're slightly irresponsible. I mean, because they show these things whizzing by. And
then they say, don't try this at home. What are you going to try if you buy a car?
But some of those ads are trying to sell a feeling, and I think that's bizarre, too, like those Infiniti ads. But that's just my opinion.
Still to come this morning, Patty Page celebrates the 40th anniversary of her version of Tennessee Waltz. First the station.
One family fights to stay together as their country's torn apart.
You're responsible for not heeding the warning.
Ed Asner.
Nobody is leaving this house.
Jane Alexander, A Friendship in Vienna, Sunday.
Tom Davis of South Bend just won $1 million. Who will be next? Watch Who's Your Millionaire Saturday night.
Next time on Star Trek, The Next Generation.
You are a traitor.
Worf is accused of treason and faces a Klingon death penalty.
It is a good day to die.
His enemies are hiding the truth that could free him.
You will not execute a member of my crew.
Now, Captain Picard must risk his life to defend Worf's innocence on Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Saturday at 5.
This is News Center 33, today in Fort Wayne.
A good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Ed Evans. Greg Schaup in the Weather Center says our temperatures will be getting more comfortable over the next couple of days. He'll be along in just a couple of minutes with the complete forecast. Residents of Lake Township in northwest Allen County are relieved this morning because the airport authority has decided against using their rural township as a site for a reliever airport. Yesterday, the authority voted against a consultant's recommendations to locate the reliever field in Lake Township and close down Smithfield. Instead, the authority is making plans to fix up Smithfield and continue to study other possible sites for a reliever airport. A new school board member will be sworn in this morning to a post on the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board. Kevin Howell was elected last night to fill the unexpired term of Pam Bodecker, who resigned this spring because of a family move. The 35-year-old Howell served for a time as a mayoral aide to Paul Helmke. Howell is a graduate of the Fort Wayne schools, and he believes the schools are adequate, but he says he will oppose any suggestions to use busing as a means to achieve racial balance in the schools.
Being bused to Elmhurst High School. That was in 1971. All of my life, I wanted to go to Central High School or Southside High School, my neighborhood high schools. So that was a very frustrating period of time. It was a place where I did not want to go, and it's a place where I was not welcome. So I wanted to bring that point of view of someone who actually went through the busing to the board.
The term Howell is filling ends this year, so he will be up for election in November. Howell says that he will be visiting every school in the district and meeting with every PTA group between now and then. A Fort Wayne couple waited more than a week to cash in a Lotto Indiana jackpot ticket because they didn't want to disrupt a family reunion they'd been planning for 2 years. Herman and Novella Clancy went to Indianapolis yesterday to claim their $2.5 million prize, but they were real careful with that ticket for the 8 days between the time they realized they'd won and when they went to get the prize.
In the house, under the mattress, and every time we left home, we'd take it with us. And on Monday morning, he took it to the safe deposit box and put it in, and I called him at home to make sure that he made it there and the wind didn't blow it away.
Novella Clancy bought the winning ticket at the Scott's Food Store on Maple Crest in St. Joe Township. Well, who says that summer school is no fun? Some summer school students at Blackhawk Middle School got to spend a day on a space shuttle mission.
One. Last off.
The students spent all day yesterday taking part in a simulated shuttle mission with special equipment. Part of it students built themselves. The mission lasted for 12 hours, and things didn't run so smoothly. They put some problems into it to test the students' abilities to deal with the unexpected. And Greg Schaup's back in a minute.
Have you ever dreamed of the perfect street of shops, each one a discovery, the best of its kind, each one more wonderful than the one before? Well, that dream comes true at the Country Peddler Show. Weaving, pottery, baskets, rugs, quilts, metalwork, furniture, country clothing, woodworking, and much, much more. The Country Peddler Show, a unique shopping experience. This weekend in Fort Wayne at the Allen County War Memorial Exposition Center.
Feud fever reaches epidemic proportions. Does your family exhibit these symptoms? Unusual sounds.
Auga! Auga!
Bizarre body movements. Uncontrollable facial motions. Undeniable excitement. Feud fever. Watch it. It's contagious.
Weekdays at 4:30 on Channel 33.
Well, good morning. Currently 75 degrees, 79% the relative humidity, a northeasterly breeze at 3 miles per hour, and steady barometric pressure. Here's what it looks like on the current surface map. We are looking at high pressure starting to move in from Canada, and as the low pressure gets through, we are going to see some thunder shower activity through this afternoon, and in fact, most of this afternoon we'll look for thunder shower activity, and then we are expecting a high of about 80 degrees. For tonight, though, it is going to be just gorgeous. A low of 58 and partly cloudy tomorrow, a high of 75, and we'll keep those nice temperatures throughout the week. Ed.
Thanks, Greg, and now back to today.
It is me.
Back now, 8:30 on a Tuesday morning. Introduction seem in order. Willard Scott, Joe Garagiola, I'm Brian Gumbel. Katie Couric is joining us while Deborah's away on vacation this half hour. Mike Leonard's going to join the party. Profile a man with a talent that he says is no longer in demand. Gentleman's a trick shot artist. Katie?
Well, Brian, a number of studies recently have shown that women get far less from our healthcare system than men do, despite the fact that they spend more on it than men do. We'll take a closer look at that problem in just a few minutes. Joe?
Okay, about 62 floors above us, right here in Rockefeller Center at the Rainbow and Stars nightclub, Patty Page is packing them in just like she always has. And this morning, we're going to help her celebrate a very important anniversary.
And we're going to break into a little Tennessee waltz.
Will we answer the question finally? How much is that doggy in the window?
It's not for sale.
It's not for sale.
Not for sale.
On to the news. Faith Daniels restores order. Faith?
Thanks, Bryant. In the news this morning, in Houston, the economic summit is turning green. The leaders of the world's 7 richest democracies are focusing their attention on the environment. It's an issue that wasn't very high on President Bush's list of summit priorities. One of his top agenda items is the elimination of farm subsidies, which keep American crops from reaching many foreign markets. On the matter of Western aid to the Soviet Union, the leaders have agreed to disagree. Aid to Moscow will be something each country decides on its own. Nicaragua's fragile 1-month-old political truce has been badly shaken. This morning, Army troops are patrolling the streets of Managua. President Violeta Chamorro called out the Army to end the bloody fighting between her supporters and the Sandinista opposition. The Sandinistas are staging a week-long general strike. That has sparked street fighting that's ranged from fistfights to gun battles. Just how effective the troops will be is an open question because the Sandinistas dominate the Army. Mikhail Gorbachev reminded Communist Party traditionalists today that big changes have come over the Soviet Union and there's no turning back now. After his impassioned speech to the party Congress in Moscow, he and 7 others were nominated for the party's top job, General Secretary. There appears to be no question, though, that Gorbachev will be re-elected. The traditionalists did not nominate a well-known candidate. The long wait continues at 4 embassies in Albania. Passports and travel arrangements are being drawn up for thousands of Albanians who want to leave the country. 51 people who had taken refuge in Czechoslovakia's embassy arrived in Prague on Monday aboard President Václav Havel's official jet. They shouted out their gratitude to Havel and his government. The country they left behind is Eastern Europe's last hardline communist regime. America's first black Roman Catholic archbishop has resigned just 28 months after being named to the post. The Vatican announced today that it had accepted the resignation of Eugene Marino as Archbishop of Atlanta because of personal reasons and ill health. Marino is 56 years old. He is to be replaced by Auxiliary Bishop James Lake of Cleveland. Finally, an unusual fleet of race cars that has to wait until sunup for a fill-up is rolling across the Sunshine State again this morning. 31 solar-powered cars left Orlando on Monday. All but 6 got as far as Floral City, Florida, before clouds blotted out their fuel supply. It's America's first solar car race. It involves teams from colleges in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. The racers are expected to reach Detroit sometime next week, but they won't even leave Florida until sometime tomorrow. Do you know why that is, everyone over there?
Why? Why?
Because they have the amount of power that is equal to a single hairdryer.
Oh. What's a hairdryer?
You dry rabbits with it.
You don't know what a hairdryer is.
It's a German hairdryer. Wie geht's, Junge? I don't know what a hairdryer is. Excuse me, I was rehearsing my act. There you go. That's a solar conductor for a sex machine.
Yeah, sure, wrong.
Okay, let's be serious now. This is high-class stuff.
It's your turn. No, we're going to be serious.
We got to, first of all, I got to get rid of this couch because I look like King Kong sitting on this thing. I make you all look good. That's the only reason you asked me up here.
You look like a cold front covered from Canada.
It's that cheesecake I had an hour ago. Let's check a birthday. That's the best part. Take a look at the map. No, take a look at the birthday. Ida Tosti of Madeira, California. And she was born in Italy. She came over many, many years ago, pretty lady, and she is celebrating her 100th birthday today in Madeira, California. Wish her a very happy birthday. All of her grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they'll be there celebrating with her.
30 grand.
She was 19 years old when she came over to this country. And another birthday wish this morning, Dorothy Drake of Elizabethtown, New Jersey, 101. Pretty lady right across the river, not that far down the road from us. We wish her a happy birthday. And what's in store on the weather map for us, Uncle Joe, this morning? You see Fausto?
Yeah.
Remember Dr. Fausto?
Remember him. Good hitter.
Yeah, he was doing great. 300, I think. He starts tonight, I believe, at Wrigley Field. Are they going to have the lights off or on tonight?
I hope on.
Won't make any difference. Anyway, 60 degrees. Isn't that great temperature for a ball game?
Beautiful.
They're going to have some scattered thunder showers today. Fausto is a hurricane that's out in the Pacific right now. We're going to keep an eye on that. It's no threat to anybody unless you're out there in a kayak. But if you're out there in a kayak in the Pacific, you are crazy. Have you done the map already? You mean that's it? Don't you like these in-depth weather?
I love them.
National Weather Service has voted my weather the most likely to drop dead in a motel room.
I like the signals they give you. In my neighborhood, that would start a fight, what he's doing.
That's right. That's right. That started World War II right there, what he's doing. You do. Same to you, fella, in spades. Right. Here's what's happening in your world this morning.
Good morning. This is Greg Schaub from the Weather Center. Afternoon thunder shower activity likely and a high of 80 degrees. Partly cloudy and mild tonight with a low of 58.
A well-oiled machine.
Right, well, you know, you pay for cheap help, and that's what you get.
8:36. Today, correspondent Mike Leonard says there are people who seem to have been born out of their time who would have been better off living in another century. Mike reports on one such person right now.
Everything about Gibby Lashua seems out of date. From the car he drives, to the accordion he plays, even to the rusted material that defines his job as custodian of the Townsend, Massachusetts landfill. How appropriate, then, for his great skill in life to be in perfect harmony with the past.
That okay?
52-year-old Gibby Lashua, the world's greatest trick shot artist, this side of total obscurity.
Yeah, don't get too nervous. I know I shot for a camera. That one's gone.
Imagine Annie Oakley in her prime, performing alone in a town dump.
If it's a little slow, I'll pop a few rounds out, keep my eye in shape, you know.
With rocks, metal discs, pieces of glass, golf balls.
Yeah, I got a hole in one.
Whatever he can find. See that bottle on top of a steel drum 75 yards away?
There she goes. You get it?
Yeah.
Did it come out great?
Long-distance shots with small .22 caliber bullets sometimes require a practice round simply to gauge the wind and the drop. Look.
Above the tractor? Yeah, way on the banking. The little, it's a little spot. The little black spot? Yeah. Way over there? Yeah, right near the top, right near the top, about 6 inches down. How big is it? A half a dollar size. No. That got it. See it? It moved. See it? It just moved a little.
From time to time, Gibby Lashua will put on a charity show for a local retirement home. But even those events are few and far between. Of course, back in the 1800s, before baseball, football, golf, and all the other present-day diversions, a trick shot artist of Gibby's stature would be a big draw on the county fair circuit. Fame would have turned into fortune, and wouldn't that be a welcome reward?
I don't know what I do with it. When I was a kid, we used to put tape around our shoes, or I wouldn't know. The friction tape did last a lot longer. The duct tape came out later on. You can hit this, just try to tap.
Money, though, does have its benefits, mostly as well-balanced targets, or in Gibby's manner of speaking,
a nickel's worth of music. Wasn't that a lovely song? That's all you get for a nickel today, isn't it?
He can hit a coin on its flat side, split a bullet on its edge, or, as with this dime, just nick it so it spins and lands nearby.
Okay, right there. There it is. I'll go get it. Go. Yeah, right there. You want that one, or? Yeah, you want. All right.
So you wanted to hit it right on that edge?
Yeah, just on here. Yeah, you have to make it come back. so it won't go fast. You can find it again, you know what I mean? So you can either hit it right in the middle or right on the edge. If you hit it in the middle, it'll just take off. Want me to hit it in the middle? Sure. Want to get rid of it?
Actually, we wanted more than that. So the following day, Gibby gave us a show and a shower of potatoes, lettuce, beer,
there she go.
And cabbage.
Oh, there she go. Great. Gee, where's the salad bowl? Somebody come out with a salad bowl there.
The spectators loved it. All 5 or 6 of them. There, not in a sold-out arena, but in a friend's backyard.
Yeah, nice backyard anyway.
Without enough money to afford a gun that won't jam, and without enough marketing savvy to launch a trick shot revival, this appears to be Gibby's destiny. Lonely, isn't it?
No, it's all right. Ain't too bad. I got my Winchester with me, so it ain't too long, you know.
For today, Mike Leonard, NBC News, Townsend, Massachusetts.
Coming up on 8:41 on Tuesday morning on the more serious matters, Katie's going to look at women's health issues when we come back after this.
These days, looking good without feeling good just isn't good enough. It's why Weight Watchers, with over 25 years of healthy eating experience, has become more than a way of eating. It's a way of life. No. Weight Watchers. Maybe we should have called them Health Watchers.
There is a better battery. The Napa Legend, the better battery.
Kmart lets you save on essentials with stay-free maxi pads, super maxi pads, and thins. The quality you need at the price you want. 2 packages for $4.99.
In the mountains of Colombia, they celebrate the land. From this land comes the richest coffee in the world. From Maxwell House comes Colombian Supreme. From the first to the last drop, it's good and rich with 100% Colombian beans. Maxwell House Colombian Supreme. Regular, decaffeinated, or instant. 100% Colombian richness from Maxwell House.
Despite the fact that 75 to 90% of healthcare decisions are made by women, there are charges that the medical profession seems to drag its feet when it comes to taking women's health problems seriously. A recent study by the Physician Insurers Association of America shows that doctors are not aggressively diagnosing breast cancer patients early enough, mostly because they didn't find anything in the physical examination. Younger women are often ignored because they're less of a risk than older women in developing breast cancer. The equality of women's health care goes beyond what's described as women's diseases, and in our Washington bureau is Dr. Michelle Dazinski, Assistant Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. And good morning to you.
Good morning.
Doctor, one thing that concerns me is, according to some statistics put out by the Centers for Disease Control, as many as 9 out of 10 doctors do not follow the American Cancer Society's guidelines when it comes to recommending mammograms. Why is that?
This is absolutely true. A recent study in Maryland showed that of women who went for health care and actually got a routine exam, only 30% of those women actually had a mammogram suggested as part of their health maintenance program. I think the key here is education, both educating physicians that are not obstetricians and gynecologists and educating the general population of women that mammography is an excellent tool for screening for breast cancer and should be utilized in every woman who is over 35 years old.
Let's talk about the broader issue, if we may. Are women getting equal attention from members of the medical community?
Women in general obtain over half of the health care in this community. Unfortunately, while greater than 50% of Americans are women, less than 20% of research monies are spent on women's health care issues.
I was just going to mention, in fact, a study by the Government Accounting Office revealed that NIH, the National Institutes of Health, conducted several important studies which totally excluded women, one on aspirin and heart disease, another on aging. Is that the general practice for research, and what is NIH's policy?
That was the general practice many years ago, and the studies to which you refer were studies that were started years ago. Unfortunately, it is often easier to perform research studies on women because issues such as childbearing potential and what would happen if a new drug were tested in a woman who then became pregnant are not present if you study men. Therefore, it's often cheaper and easier to study a male population as opposed to a female population. Unfortunately, when that policy is allowed to continue, we only get results on what is good for men and don't really find out what is good for women's health care.
Is that policy likely to change, Doctor?
That policy is absolutely changing. 3 years ago, a new policy was implemented where women should be included in all studies where they were not specifically medically excluded. This policy has been slow to be implemented, but at Johns Hopkins, of the last 30 protocols that I reviewed, 28 included both men and women, and only 2 included males only. These 2 protocols of interest were initiated over 3 years ago, and therefore were not protocols that have been initiated since the new National Institute of Health policy.
Do you think women just aren't taken seriously enough? Is it a case of good old-fashioned sexism in the doctor's office, that when women have a problem, they're being neurotic or hysterical, and it couldn't be as bad as they think it is?
Well, I think that women, as opposed to men, have a lot more health problems. They have difficulties with reproduction, difficulties with endometriosis, and their health care starts a lot earlier. They often do have more complaints than men, and often they do not obtain as elaborate a workup as a man would, maybe because they have a lot of chronic complaints.
Do you think this whole issue needs to be better addressed in medical schools so that doctors are more understanding and receptive of women?
I think that education is the key to the solution of this issue. I think that both the medical professionals and the patients and the children in high schools need to be educated as to what is good women's health care, and only by education will we change and actually begin to implement some of the good screening programs that we have for women in order to prevent diseases which frequently terminate women's lives.
Is this happening in any medical schools across the country, this better education?
Yes, it is happening. We have several programs every year that educate both medical students and also the lay population. We emphasize the screening programs for breast cancer, cervical cancer, and colon cancer, and of course encourage women that they should not smoke, since lung cancer is still the primary cause of cancer death among women.
Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's an interesting and rather disturbing topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Joe's back in a moment with Patty Page right after these messages.
Yes, I lost my little darling the night they were playing.
Revlon creates No Sweat, the revolutionary 24-hour antiperspirant time-release deodorant.
No sweat.
Extra deodorant protection when you need it most. No sweat. No sweat for men and women.
Wanna get an early start.
Today's the big day.
Waking her up is the hardest part.
First long bike ride together.
Oh, give me a few more minutes. Now there's Folgers to brew that's decaffeinated too. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
It's no surprise that people wake up to Mountain Grown Folgers decaffeinated. Mountain Grown coffee has a more enticing aroma and richer flavor.
The aroma got her out of bed. Now you can enjoy the day ahead.
I actually woke up to a decaffeinated? You think I'll still look good on a bicycle?
I don't think I'm your father.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
A kiss? Oh, not right now. You really don't want to kiss me.
Dangerous. Very dangerous.
Give me a minute, honey.
Don't let morning breath ruin a good morning. Get Scope. Scope has 2 powerful ingredients to kill 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Didn't I hear something about a kiss?
Right here. Right now.
Kiss me. It is time for a kiss.
Scope, the best thing first thing in the morning.
Hey, you. Put that kiss right here.
If I had a Nissan 240 SX, it'd be a red coupe. Wait, a silver fastback. And I'd go for a spin up Route 7. The twisty part. Just me and Astro. No, Amy. Heck, Christy Brinkley. Wow! Yeah, me and Christy in my silver, no, red 240SX. Driving into the sunset.
I have a question for trivia buffs. If White Christmas is the best-selling single record of all time, what's number 2? And I tell you, it's that close. Time's up. It's the Tennessee Waltz sung by that singing rage, Miss Patti Page.
I was dancing with my darling to the Tennessee waltz when an old friend I happened to see introduced her to my loved one. And while they were dancing, my friend stole my sweetheart from me. I remember the night and the Tennessee waltz. Now I know just how much I have lost. Yes, I lost my little darling the night they were playing the beautiful Tennessee waltz. Yes, I lost my little darling the night they were playing the beautiful Tennessee
What a treat, what a treat, Patti. Welcome, welcome. Is that your favorite song?
Thank you, Joe. Well, that's one of them. Old Cape Cod is the other.
Old Cape Cod. Now,
I'm a territory singer.
I don't blame you. The way you sing, cover everybody.
Yeah.
I've cheated a little bit. I read some research. That was your father's favorite song.
It sure was.
Huh?
It was my father's favorite song, and I have nice memories of it.
Now, you've hit the pop charts, the country charts. What is the Patti Page sound as far as you're concerned? Is there such an animal?
I don't think there's such an animal, Joe, but the record companies put me in the pop charts, even though I recorded a lot of the things since 1960 down in Nashville. And then they put me in the country charts and back and forth, you know, according to which one I sang.
Whatever you do, you're a Hall of Famer. It's as simple as all that. You know, they always ask me, Joe, what are the changes you've seen in baseball? I have to ask you, Patti, what are some of the changes you've seen in your business?
Well, it's a faster ball, Joe.
Well, what do you mean by that?
It's a faster business. You know, you're living in the fast lane in the business now. I mean, there's so much money to be made in the business. I mean, I don't know where it comes from. When I was at the top of the pinnacle, you know, with working everywhere, we didn't play big stadiums or big sports arenas. We still played places like the Chicago Theater, Paramount Theater, Copacabana here in New York. Now you draw, or the superstars can draw up at 100,000 a night, and they can take out, you know, $1 million or $2 million a night.
Let me continue that analogy. Some of the perks I read the rock stars get, I don't think you would even dream about asking for some of those, like I see some of the things the players get today.
Yeah. It's
Does that shock you?
It does shock me, huh? That's why I said I don't know where the money's coming from. I mean, when they first hired, I think it was Marlene Dietrich in Las Vegas, she got $50,000. No one had ever heard of that figure before. And then Nat Cole, bless his heart, before he died, you know, finally got up to $25,000 a week. And that's nothing for
comparison.
By comparison.
I just want to give out some statistics because sometimes statistics do tell a story. 80 albums, 157 singles, 110 of them made the Billboard charts. I didn't have that many singles in 9 years. 13 gold records in Cape Cod, Doggy in the Window, and Allegheny Moon, and Patty, you just got married.
I
Congratulations.
just got married. Oh, that's marvelous. And I married an Italian, Joe.
You see how good God's been to you?
You're right.
All right. Hey, we're so happy you came by.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here in New York and
What
to
a
see you,
great
Joe.
way for all of us to wake up, and we're already here, but our viewers.
Well, I love you on the show, too.
And I love you, and even though you're a Dodger fan.
I know. Well, thanks for getting that in.
Okay, Patty Page, and we're going to be back right after these messages.
I kept saying, someday I'm going to fix that door. Well, someday came yesterday morning, but I had no clue where to start.
You can do it, Marcia, and it's not that hard. Here, let me show you.
Well, I did it. Now I've got a screen door that stays open when I want it to and stays on its hinges. Next up, that leaky faucet.
You can do it with True Value Hardware stores.
If it was up to me, I'd keep a lid on it. The Nation speaks about Tropicana Twister.
It's a little on the iffy side.
Tropicana Twister, deliciously tempting flavor combinations Mother Nature never dreamed of.
Might be fine for some, but not for the Bufords.
Enticing flavors like orange passion fruit.
Works for me.
Tropicana Twister, flavors Mother Nature never intended, but should have.
We'll try it.
We certainly will not. Some things you just can't bottle. A touch, a nuzzle. And only you can give your baby breast milk, the most complete baby food. But if the time ever comes when you need a formula, you should know this. No formula is more nutritious than Gerber baby formula. Talk to your doctor about it. If it doesn't come from you, shouldn't it come from Gerber?
Hey, Extra Strength Maalox Plus just won a nationwide taste test.
That's no surprise. Maalox has come out with great tasting flavors.
Our cherry cream, mint cream, and lemon Swiss cream flavors beat the other leading liquid antacids on taste.
That's logical. Maalox has very smooth tastes.
Today, you can have the best tasting antacid and the strongest, too. Extra Strength Maalox Plus. When do you use it?
For all your Maalox moments.
At what point do you think this totally got out of hand?
When you showed up.
Yeah. No.
7:01.
We were fine.
Yeah. No, we were sitting here, we were going through the birthdays, and then we were trying to figure out who was who and everything else, and we'll let it be at that.
Okay.
Anyhow, Patty Page, lovely lady.
Oh, terrific.
Beautiful, too.
Oh, yeah, and she sounds great, looks good, and it's just great. I really enjoyed that.
How many singles did you say on that? I think you said 80 albums, 150 songs.
109 singles on the charts. On the chart. I mean, she's got more hits, as I said. I didn't get 109 singles in 9 years.
Albums, too. I mean, she sold probably more
80
albums.
albums,
Yeah.
gold records, I mean, everything.
But
And her
she still,
hymns. I love her hymns.
performs.
Oh,
right?
sure, she's at the Rainbow. Yeah.
She sounds just as good now.
Doesn't she,
It's
though?
amazing. Her voice has not
See how they
changed.
kept this album? The guys did a great job with it. That was great.
Don't say things like that. Now he's going to say,
And the
all right,
guys did a
Bucky, take the
lousy
shot.
job then.
Bucky, take the shot. Go ahead, take your bows. Go ahead, Bucky.
He's shy.
Now he's shy. There he is. Okay, there they go. There it is.
How much is that Doggy in the Window? Did that sell more songs than Tennessee Waltz, or?
We were kind of surprised that wasn't her biggest hit. How much
No.
is that Doggy in the
In
Window?
fact, I think that wasn't even the hit record. It was on the backside. It was one of those added kind of things. Something about Boogie Woogie Santa Claus was supposed to be the hit. Yeah, it was supposed to be the hit record. Yeah,
Boogie
that
Woogie
was not the
Santa
big
Claus?
thing. Yeah.
Does it for us on this day.
You don't believe me, do you?
No, we just have to adjourn. We're running into Donahue. We got to get out of here.
Not a bad
Have a great day.
idea.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Sports in session. Welcome to the lighter side of the law.
That's the spirit.
Wednesday night on Channel 33. 97.3 WMEE and Coca-Cola welcome the 1993 Rivers Festival Giant Midway, happening now through July 14th at the Coliseum parking lot. This year's Giant Midway features the premiere appearance of the 8-story Giant Wheel. Plus, experience the thrill of the Flitzer, Himalaya, Sea Dragon, and the Typhoon. You'll also find an elaborate kiddie land of rides. Don't miss the Three Rivers Festival Giant Midway, going on now through July 14th at the Coliseum parking lot. A doorway promotion.
Win up to $1 million during Urban Brothers Store-Wide Summer Sizzler. A great time to save on quality furniture with no payments or interest till 1991. And just maybe win $1 million. That's right. Besides, no payments till 1991 on all sofas, sleepers, recliners, bedrooms, dining rooms, curios, and entertainment centers. Every customer will receive a free lotto ticket, plus additional tickets depending on your purchase. Super Summer Sizzler markdowns. No payments till 1991 and a chance to win up to $1 million only at Urban Brothers Furniture on Fern Hill, just south of Hudson's Glenbrook.
The unexplained, hidden treasures, dangerous criminals.
To help solve a mystery.
Wednesday night on Channel 33.
See 33 News live from the Three Rivers Festival.